February 19th, 1945. Iwo Jima. Just after sunrise. The beach is already a graveyard. Black volcanic sand sticks to boots, hands, weapons. The air smells of sulfur, smoke, and cordite. US Marines crouch behind shallow scrapes in the sand, hearts pounding as shells scream overhead and vanish into the slopes ahead. Then the ground erupts. A burst of fire flashes from a hillside that moments ago looked empty. Machine gun rounds rip across the beach in flat, merciless lines. Men dive. Some don't make it. You can almost feel the helplessness. Naval guns had pounded this island for days. Battleships fired thousands of shells. Bombers turned the surface into ash. And yet, the enemy is still here. Still firing. Still untouched. A Marine corporal presses his helmet into the sand and shouts into the chaos. Where the hell are they shooting from? No one answers, because the truth is worse than anyone expected. The enemy beneath the island. The Japanese are not fighting on Iwo Jima. They are fighting inside it. Concrete bunkers are buried deep into volcanic rock. Firing slits are narrow, perfectly angled. Ventilation shafts snake underground. Tunnels connect positions so defenders can disappear and reappear somewhere else entirely. Artillery hits the bunker. Nothing happens. A tank fires point blank. The shell shatters harmlessly against reinforced concrete. A flamethrower roars, fire pouring into a dark opening. Moments later, the same bunker opens fire again. Unharmed. A Marine lieutenant stares through binoculars, disbelief creeping into his voice. We hit that thing 5 times. Another Marine answers quietly. Yeah, and it's still killing us. Doctrine shattered. Everything the Marines trained for feels useless. Suppression does not work. Fire superiority does not work. Bombardment does not work. Every bunker must be taken individually, at close range, with men. Squads crawl forward inch by inch, throwing grenades, using flamethrowers, calling tanks in dangerously close. Casualties mount fast. A Marine squad leader drags a wounded man behind a crater. They're not trying to stop us, he realizes. They're trying to bleed us. And it's working. The psychological toll. Hours pass. The beach becomes a maze of bodies, broken equipment, and smoking craters. Marines advance yards at a time, only to be pinned again by bunkers they thought were destroyed. The enemy never charges, never retreats. They wait. One Marine writes later, "It felt like the island itself was shooting at us." The bunkers do not just protect Japanese soldiers. They break morale. Because how do you fight an enemy you cannot see, cannot silence, cannot even reach? The grim math. Commanders begin to understand the cost. Every bunker means dozens of rounds, several assaults, and often multiple dead Marines. Multiply that by hundreds of bunkers. The realization is chilling. If this continues, the casualty numbers will be catastrophic. On Saipan, on Peleliu, now on Iwo Jima, the pattern is the same. Japan's strongest defense is not its soldiers. It is concrete. The moment of desperation. By the end of the first day, frustration turns into desperation. A Marine captain slams his fist into the sand beside a captured bunker. "We can't keep doing this," he says. "We'll run out of men before we run out of bunkers." Nearby, Navy Seabees observe the battlefield quietly. They are engineers, builders, mechanics, not frontline heroes. One of them watches a bulldozer push debris aside to clear a road. He pauses. Then he looks at the bunker, then back at the bulldozer blade. An idea begins to form. A simple one. A brutal one. An idea no one had planned for. Because sometimes, the solution to an impossible defense is not more firepower. It is a machine built to bury things. And soon, the strongest Japanese defenses on the island are about to face an enemy they were never designed to stop. Iwo Jima. Midday. February 19th, 1945. The sun climbs higher, and the heat turns brutal. Black sand reflects it upward, baking Marines from below while gunfire hammers them from ahead. Sweat stings eyes. Throats go dry. Radios crackle with half-finished calls for fire support. Another bunker is spotted. A low concrete mound barely visible, its entrance tucked behind a fold in the terrain. A machine gun chatters from a slit no wider than a man's forearm. A Marine platoon moves on it. Carefully. Slowly. A flamethrower team crawls forward, fuel tanks heavy on their backs. Riflemen cover them, firing at the slit, hoping to keep heads down. The flamethrower roars. Liquid fire splashes against concrete and pours inside the opening. Flames billow out, smoke thick and black. The bunker goes quiet. For a moment. The Marines advance. Then the gun opens up again. The flamethrower operator freezes in disbelief. "I hit it," he shouts. "I hit it." But the bunker does not care. Built to survive everything, Japanese engineers designed these fortifications with grim precision. Reinforced concrete several feet thick. Steel shutters behind firing slits. Blast doors set at angles to deflect pressure. Flames consume oxygen in one chamber, but tunnels feed air from another. Grenades explode, but their force is absorbed by layered walls and earth. A Marine sergeant shakes his head as bullets snap overhead. It's like trying to kill a snake by stepping on its tail. Every tactic feels temporary. Nothing feels final. Armor joins the fight. Tanks are called up. Shermans rumble forward, turrets rotating as they line up on bunker entrances. At close range, their guns fire again and again. Direct hits. Concrete chips. Dust erupts. The bunker survives. A tank commander curses into his intercom. "I'm hitting it dead on. It's still firing." The tank backs up to reload. As it does, Japanese fire rakes the infantry around it. Marines scatter, dragging wounded men with them. Armor is powerful. But armor was not built for this. The cost in blood. Hour by hour, the toll rises. Medics work non-stop, hands slick with blood. Stretchers move constantly toward the beach. The dead are left where they fall until night. A young Marine crouches beside a crater, staring at his hands. "They told us naval guns would flatten the island," he whispers. A veteran next to him answers without looking up. "They flattened the island," he says. "Not what's underneath it." The realization spreads. The enemy cannot be blasted out. He must be sealed in. A shift in thinking. Officers gather behind the lines, studying maps marked with bunker positions. Lines of advance stall again and again at the same points. One lieutenant says what everyone is thinking. "We destroy the entrances, and they reopen somewhere else." A captain rubs his face, exhausted. "So how do we stop them from reopening?" Silence. Then a voice from the edge of the group. A Navy Seabee, helmet dusty, uniform stained with grease. "What if we don't destroy them?" he asks. "What if we close them?" Heads turn. "Close them how?" Someone snaps. The Seabee gestures toward a bulldozer pushing rubble nearby. "Bury them." The word hangs in the air. Bury them. An unplanned weapon. Bulldozers were brought ashore to clear roads and airstrips. Simple machines, steel blades, powerful engines. Not weapons. But as Marines watch, the idea becomes horrifyingly logical. A bunker needs air. Needs exits. Needs firing slits. Take those away, and the bunker becomes a tomb. A Marine officer stares at the bulldozer, then back at the bunker that has pinned his men down all morning. He swallows. "Get it over here," he says. The Seabee nods. No one cheers. Because everyone understands what this means. This is not about winning ground. It is about ending resistance permanently. The first test. The bulldozer lurches forward, engine roaring. Its blade digs into volcanic sand and broken concrete. Japanese fire immediately targets it. Bullets spark off steel. The operator does not stop. He lowers the blade and pushes. Sand pours into the bunker entrance. The firing slit disappears. The machine gun falls silent. Seconds pass. Nothing happens. A Marine whispers, "Is that it?" Then muffled explosions echo from underground. The bunker does not fire again. Men exchange looks. A terrible solution has just proven itself effective, and word is about to spread fast. Because on islands built like fortresses, the bulldozer has just become the deadliest weapon on the beach. Iwo Jima. Late afternoon. The first day is not over yet. The word spreads faster than orders ever do. A bunker was sealed. Not silenced. Not burned out. Buried. Marines who had spent hours pinned down lift their heads slowly, almost afraid to believe it. They look toward the bulldozer, its steel blade smeared with black sand and concrete dust. It sits there quietly. The bunker does not fire again. For the first time that day, something has worked. An idea turns into doctrine. Officers move quickly. What happened? How long did it take? Did it fire again? The answers are simple. Minutes. No. Never. That is enough. Orders are passed down the line. Get the dozers forward. Navy Seabees climb into their machines, engines roaring as they push past stunned Marines. These are construction workers in uniform, men trained to build airstrips and roads, not fight infantry battles. Now they are driving straight toward enemy fire. Under fire, Japanese defenders immediately understand the threat. Machine guns swing toward the bulldozers. Rifle fire rattles against armor plating. Mortar rounds burst nearby, showering the machines with debris. A Seabee operator grips the controls tighter. He cannot see much through the dust. He cannot hear anything but the engine. But he knows where he is going. Straight at the bunker. Marines run alongside, firing at firing slits, throwing smoke grenades to give the dozer cover. Some wave frantically, guiding the blade toward hidden entrances. Left, left. There, right there. The bulldozer lowers its blade and pushes. Sand, rock, and shattered concrete pour into the opening. The gunfire stops. Every time. A new kind of fear. Inside the bunkers, Japanese soldiers face something they were never prepared for. Their defenses were built to withstand shells, bombs, and fire. They were not built to breathe without air. Ventilation shafts clog. Exits vanish. The darkness becomes complete. Oxygen disappears. There is no counterattack. No heroic charge. Only silence. Marines stand back, watching the sealed bunkers. One whispers, "I'd rather take fire than do that." Another answers quietly, "Me too." But no one stops the bulldozers. Because this works. From Saipan to Iwo Jima. This is not the first time the idea has appeared. On Saipan, Marines had improvised similar tactics. On Palaliu, they learned the hard way that caves and bunkers could not be cleared like European fortifications, but Iwo Jima forces the lesson into doctrine. Bulldozers are armoured. Blades are reinforced. Seabees are attached directly to assault units. The bulldozer is no longer support equipment. It is a frontline weapon. The shift on the battlefield. As bulldozers move forward, the rhythm of battle changes. Bunkers that once took hours to neutralize are dealt with in minutes. Marines advance behind the steel blades, clearing ground that had been impossible that morning. The island still fights back. Snipers remain. Mortars fall. Tunnels run deep. But the psychological balance has shifted. The bunkers are no longer invincible. A Marine lieutenant watches a sealed position and exhales slowly. "They're done hiding," he says. "We've got them." The cost of effectiveness. There is no celebration. The bulldozer tactic is effective, but it weighs heavily on the men using it. Seabees do not talk much afterward. Marines avoid looking at sealed entrances longer than necessary. War has crossed a line. Not because it is cruel, but because it is final. And as the sun sets on Iwo Jima, one truth becomes clear. Japan's strongest defense has been turned against itself. And the next sections of this story will show how this brutal solution reshaped island warfare forever. Iwo Jima. Night falls. February 19th, 1945. The gunfire fades into scattered bursts as darkness settles over the island. Flares rise and fall, casting brief, ghostly light over shattered terrain. The air cools, but the smell remains. Burned powder, oil, blood, and sulfur from the earth itself. Marines dig in where they stand. And for the first time since landing, the night feels different. Quieter. Not safer, but changed. The bunkers stop speaking. All across the battlefield, concrete shapes sit in silence. No muzzle flashes. No tracer fire. No sudden eruptions of death. Sealed bunkers lie buried under tons of sand and debris, their entrances erased from the surface. Marines approach cautiously, rifles raised, listening. Nothing. One Marine taps the concrete with the butt of his rifle. Dead, he says. No one argues. A defense turned inward. Japanese doctrine had relied on endurance. Hold fire. Let the enemy come close. Bleed him slowly. The bunker network was designed to outlast bombardment and assault. But now the same underground system that once gave protection has become a prison. Tunnels that once allowed movement now lead nowhere. Ventilation shafts clog. Escape routes collapse under weight. Inside, time runs out. The fortresses do not fall in explosions. They suffocate. Commanders take notice. Marine officers walk the line, adjusting plans under dim light. The shift is immediate. No more frontal rushes. No more endless grenades. Bunkers are now marked for bulldozers first. An operations officer notes the change on his map. Circle them, seal them, move on. Speed replaces attrition. Momentum returns. The Seabees' new role. Navy Seabees, once rear echelon builders, are now among the most exposed men on the island. Their bulldozers move at the front of advances, engines loud, blades low. Marines protect them like tanks. When a bulldozer breaks down, everything stops. Because now everyone knows. Without the dozer, the bunker lives. A Seabee wipes sweat and ash from his face and mutters. Never thought I'd fight a war with a shovel. Psychological collapse. Captured Japanese soldiers later described the fear. Artillery could be waited out. Bombs could be endured. Flames could be escaped through tunnels. But burial was different. One survivor whispers through an interpreter, "We could not fight the earth." Word spreads among defenders. The bulldozers are coming. Some bunkers fire wildly, desperately, trying to stop the machines before they arrive. Others go silent early, conserving air that will never return. Fear replaces patience. The cost no one talks about. The tactic works. But it scars the men who use it. Marines avoid discussing sealed bunkers. Seabees stare into the distance after missions. Officers record results without commentary. War demands solutions. But it never asks permission. And on Iwo Jima, the solution has changed the nature of the fight. The strongest defense ever built by Japan has become a liability. A place where survival ends quietly. The question now is not if the island will fall. It is how quickly the bulldozers can move. And as dawn approaches, the island will wake to a new kind of assault. Iwo Jima. February 20th, 22nd, 1945. The days blur together. Morning comes without relief. The black sand is colder now, damp from night air, but the fighting resumes the moment visibility returns. Marines rise from shallow foxholes, shoulders stiff, faces hollow. They move forward not with urgency, but with grim certainty. Ahead of them, the island no longer looks like a battlefield. It looks like a construction site. Bulldozers crawl forward in fits and starts, blades down, engines growling. Marines fan out around them, rifles up, scanning ridgelines and crater edges. Tanks follow at a distance, guns ready, but no longer leading. Everyone knows the order of things now. Find the bunker. Fix it in place. Bring up the dozer. From resistance to routine. What was once shocking becomes routine. A bunker opens fire. Marines take cover. Smoke goes up. The bulldozer advances. The blade pushes sand and rubble forward, collapsing entrances, crushing firing slits, burying ventilation shafts. The gunfire stops. The unit moves on. No cheering. No hesitation. Just progress. A Marine Lance Corporal watches another bunker disappear under earth. That took 5 minutes, he says quietly. Yesterday, that would have taken half the platoon. The enemy runs out of options. Japanese defenders try to adapt. They concentrate fire on bulldozers. They attempt night repairs. They rig explosives to stop the machines. Sometimes it works. A dozer is hit. Flames leap from the engine compartment. Marines rush to pull the operator free. Another machine takes its place. There are always more bulldozers. What Japan cannot replace is air. Or time. The deeper the Marines advance, the less room the defenders have to maneuver. Tunnel networks collapse under bombardment and burial. Communication breaks down. Units fight alone, cut off, unseen. The island's design has betrayed its builders. Momentum returns. By the third day, Marine advances accelerate. Positions that had cost dozens of casualties on Saipan now fall with fewer losses. Not because the enemy fights less fiercely, but because the method has changed. An officer reviews casualty reports and shakes his head. This is the first time we're moving faster than we're bleeding. That sentence spreads quietly. It becomes hope. A new doctrine is born. Reports from Iwo Jima are transmitted back through command channels. Bulldozers are requested in greater numbers. Armor kits are modified. Engineer units are reassigned to assault roles. What began as improvisation is becoming doctrine. On future islands, bulldozers will land earlier. They will be protected more heavily. They will be planned for, not discovered by chance. The lesson is written in sand and concrete. If you cannot destroy a fortress, bury it. The human weight. But even as progress speeds up, the cost does not disappear. Marines still die. Seabees still risk everything. The bulldozer operators know they are targets. They drive anyway. One Seabee writes later, "I was more scared in that cab than anywhere else in my life. But if I stopped, they kept shooting. War has found another way to ask men to do the unbearable. And they answer. The end is no longer in doubt. By the time Mount Suribachi is surrounded, the outcome is clear. The island will fall. Not because every defender is killed, but because the defenses no longer work. Concrete, tunnels, and bunkers were meant to prolong the fight. Instead, they have shortened it. The bulldozer has done what bombs and shells could not. It has turned Japan's greatest strength into its greatest weakness. Only one question remains. What will this lesson mean for the rest of the Pacific War? The answer is coming, and it will follow the sound of engines. Pacific Theatre. 1945. After Iwo Jima, the island finally goes quiet. Not suddenly. Not cleanly. But inevitably. Smoke drifts upward from a landscape that no longer resembles land at all. What was once ridges, caves, and concrete strongpoints is now a flattened maze of craters and buried entrances. Bulldozers sit idle for the first time in days, engines cooling, blades stained dark with sand and ash. Marines move carefully through the silence. Some bunkers are still intact on the surface. They look strong. They look untouched. But no one is fooled anymore. Victory without a final battle. The Japanese defense does not collapse in a dramatic charge or a last stand. It collapses because it can no longer function. The tunnel networks are choked. The firing positions are sealed. The air is gone. Entire sections of the island fall without a shot fired, not because the defenders surrender, but because they cannot fight anymore. A Marine captain surveys a sealed position and speaks quietly. They built this to last forever. He pauses. We buried it in a day. Commanders write it down. After Iwo Jima, reports circulate through Marine and Navy headquarters. Officers underline the same passages again and again. Concrete fortifications impervious to artillery. Flamethrowers insufficient alone. Bulldozers decisive when protected and used aggressively. The conclusion is blunt. Island warfare has changed. Future landings will not wait to discover this lesson the hard way. Bulldozers will land with the first waves. Engineers will be placed at the front. Fortifications will be neutralized, not assaulted. The enemy's strongest defense will be turned against itself. The Seabee's legacy. Navy Seabees return to what they were trained to do. They build airfields. They repair roads. They construct bases. But something has changed. The Marines no longer see them as support troops. They see them as the men who cracked the impossible. A Seabee operator, asked years later what it felt like, answers simply, "I wasn't brave. I just didn't stop driving." The human cost remembered. Victory does not erase what it took to achieve it. Marines remember the first hours on the beach, the bunkers that would not die, the friends lost before the solution appeared. They remember the moment the bulldozer moved forward under fire and everything changed. Not relief. Understanding. What the war learned, Japan built fortresses meant to bleed invaders dry. They succeeded. Until they didn't. Because war is not just about weapons. It is about adaptation. The bulldozer was not designed to fight bunkers. But war does not care what something was designed to do. It cares what works. And on islands where concrete defied bombs, earth became the weapon, the final truth. The Marines could not believe how strong the bunkers were. They believed their guns would be enough. They believed firepower would decide everything. Instead, the war reminded them of something older. You do not always destroy your enemy. Sometimes, you bury him.